People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, a lot is being made of Premier League teams, the mid table teams, rejecting ridiculous offers. I mean, 80 million got you Cristiano Ronaldo once upon a time, 70 million gets you Harry Maguire to be. It's madness. And personally, I can't understand why fans are getting mad at these clubs for not selling their players. I mean, in Arsenal situation, Crystal Palace allegedly want 80 million for Zaha. Leicester are rejecting 70 million for Maguire. Van Dijk, obviously Van Dijk's a bad boy player, but Southampton played hardball over signing him and got a very decent fee for him in 70 million. You've seen Issa Diop, a bid for United rejected by West Ham for him. Declan Rice, I'm sure, is going to be had some offers or whatnot. Obviously, the Leicester boys, you look at Maguire, like I've said, Chilwell and Maddison are both quoted at 50, 60 million, so that's 100 million pound on them two players alone. Again, people, of course, it's frustrating. We've been knowing English players and English teams overpriced players, overhyped players, and it's very costly to sign English players because you can go out and find a decent left back off the top of my head. Again, not making just an example for 2 million. English one might cost you 10. So you can see whether someone wants to do the homegrown buying local thing. It's quite costly. And you look at Maddison, he's been in the Premier League 2 seconds, how much they're quoting for him. Palace got 40, 50 million for Bissaka. How long he's been in the Premier League. I'm not criticising people, I'm just naming facts. The dynamic has changed even more. We know there's too much money in football, regardless of transfer fees, but they've hit a new level. The TV money and the commercial deals that the Premier League clubs are getting now are not on the same level it was 10 years ago. Of course, no one wants to turn down 70 million. Money's money. A business stays afloat, making a profit. That's a fact. But they don't need to. You've got to remember, people. Again, I know Crystal Palace have fought relegation a couple of times, but Crystal Palace, reasonably middle, what's the right word? Reasonably placed mid-table side is the word I'm looking for. West Ham the same. Let's use Leicester. I like Leicester as an example. Now Leicester, ironically, they've won the league, so I give them the respect to say they're not going to win the league, but they're not nine times out of 10 they're probably not going to fight relegation. Their best interest as a club is obviously they want to kick on to Europe and things eventually, but right now it's staying in the Premier League, solidifying themselves as a mid-table team and never having to worry about relegation and these things. Currently, that's what they're doing. They're getting a load of money from TV rights. They're decent health as a club. If they want to stay mid-table and things and they don't need money as much, again, no one wants to turn down 70 million, but it's not a necessity. What interest do they have to sell Maguire? If they want to remain a Premier League side and a reasonably placed Premier League side, top 10, they need a competitive side. Why would they sell Maguire, Chilwell, Maddison and all of these players? It would make more sense to invest, which they have done. Tellerman's not a permanent transfer, but he came in not too long ago and did all right. Pereira's been a decent addition on the right-hand side at right back. It's in their best interest to keep these players and build a competitive side. Yes, you can say take the 70 million and redistribute it and stuff like that. And I'm sure their scouts could find deals and players that could step up. But why? Why should they? He's a key player for them. He's playing for England. People, how many times have they rejected a bid from United or City for a couple of years now? They want to keep him. They don't care for the money. Their fans like him, their club like him. I wouldn't say retire, but he wants to hold them in high regard sort of thing, in the same way you got Vardy. Keep the side together. There's no rush. Palace, obviously, they've got 40, 50 million for Bissaka. You add that to what probably they had allocated in the transfer kit already. That allows them to build a side around Zaha. If not build a side around Zaha, bring in some people that can help him make the difference. If they want, if so, think about it, people. If Maguire and Zaha, for example, are central to their plans and they have no need, of course, if you want to sell them, you have to pay dumb fees. Now, I can't tell you specifically why they rejected 70 million. I can just tell you, for one, I don't understand why fans are getting onto them because it's within their rights, and two, why they possibly would do it. Of course, they might look back in a year from now and he might play rubbish and say, yeah, man, we should have taken the 70 million. But they don't truly care because the money is there already. They're not going to die. It's not like 10, 12 years ago where if United or Arsenal or Chelsea or whoever wanted a man, then the dynamics of football was the club could take that money and reinvest. Of course, Leicester can take 70 million and reinvest and address an area. I'm sure Rodgers fit deems necessary. I'm sure. But even if we look at it another way, I'm saying again, you can replace Maguire with 70 million. You can replace anybody with 70 million unless you're Messi and Ronaldo. But how far does 70 million really go, people, truly these days? How far does it go? It don't go far, does it, people? So you can see why they play hardball. West Ham, decent recruitment drive of late. They got in Felipe Anderson last season. Fornals is there. They've been linked with a couple of other teams. Why would they sell Diop for 60 million? Of course they could reinvest it. But is 60 million going to bring in a top, already made centre half that they have assurances? Again, you can scout. Again, we can name a couple players that we've seen in Germany and young centre halves, of course. But they're going to cost that sort of money. Canute, for example, from Leipzig. If Leicester was to sell Maguire, people, he's costing 50, 60 million already. That's only leaving them with 20 million change. And what's 20 million doing for you in the market? They're better off just thinking about what they need with their own transfer kitty prior to any sellies and moving forward. Obviously, if the players force a move, that's a difference. And we're probably going to, I want to say see a return of it because it's been there already, but see a return of it. And players really going to have to force moves. Again, it's known notoriously the Leicester chairman and all them men, they're hard businessmen. I've just told you they have clearly got no desire to sell him. Maguire would have to dig his heels in, kind of alienate himself. The same for Zaha, the same possibly for Diop. They're holding on to players. It's quite different, but you look at Arnautovic, people, linked with China, West Ham could have made a decent change. It weren't in their best interest to sell him, so they kept him. Do you get it, people? Like, they're not, the clubs are not getting bullied by the top 4 or the top 6 specifically anymore. They don't need to. They don't need the money like that. Again, profit is profit, people. You give me 70 million for Maguire, as much as I like him, I'm biting your hand off. But they don't need to. He's a key member of their side, together with Chilwell, together with Maddison, where I'm not too sure of how old Maguire is, but definitely for Chilwell and Maddison, they're only going to get better. Their premiums are only going to go up. Look at Max Clark signing from Leeds to Spurs. He's a good player. I've watched him. He's a good player. But why did Spurs do that? Because no one wants to miss out on the next Maddison or the next Harvey Brooks and things like that. Because you look at Brooks of Bournemouth now, they're taking 50 million. And how old was he? I mean, how long ago was he in the Prem? Maddison's been in the Prem for 2 seconds more or less, and I think he's a baller. But he's gone from however much they paid Norwich to 60 million. Spurs don't want to miss out on that, so they've signed him. They say, alright, cool, Leeds. Leeds, you take him back for a year. He can play with clarity, knowing there's a move on and stuff like that, and he can come back. And if he has a good season in the Championship, he comes to us. He's gonna get England cap, and before you know it, he's joining Dele Alli and the rest of them in being £50 minimum players. Do you get it? Spurs don't want to miss out on that. Everyone talks about Ndombele, and that's one of the signings of the summer for me. And I'm not saying Max Clark's his levels like that, but in terms of saving money, what potentially he could be if he went to another club, he's saving Bob. Do you get it, people? That's why I'm starting to believe in the best interest to a degree. You're better off developing your own players, because I do believe Wenger was right about free transfers. Personally, my own theory is that you're going to see players force through moves, because this whole contract business, Arnautovic signed a deal in January or whatever, forgive me West Ham fans, wants to bust out already. Zaha signed a new deal last season, wants to bust out already. Coutinho, I'm sure before he joined Barca, signed a new deal. Again, players signing new contracts has always been a thing as an Arsenal fan. I know that. I swear Seth signed one mad 7-8 year deal one time. I was too young to kind of comprehend, so I can't really remember. Not that I can comprehend to verify if it's facts, but contracts have never been a thing. But I mean, the teams have played catch up, people. I wouldn't say it's a level playing ground, because clearly you look at many statistics, the top 6 are running away with several things, people. But it's definitely got a smaller playing ground. Clubs won't be bullied; they don't need to be. If you want these players, you pay through the nose, people. Do you get what I'm saying? And again, Rashford's a good player as well, and Rashford's completely different to this. But why do you think United was so desperate to tie him down on top of the fact of the player he can be, the fact he plays for United in England and he scored 10 goals last season and whatnot? Because they know that if he ever leaves, he's bringing in 100 mil. That English premium is really strong, people, and it's not just the English players. It was just the English players, and I've kind of interlapped several times in this vid. But it's players in general that play for the teams beyond the top 6. Because realistically, obviously the other teams deal between them, but the top 6 are more or less coming in for your best players 9 times out of 10. You've got to pay that money. Look at Ayoze Perez to Leicester, 30 million. Now I believe Perez is a decent player, but 30 million is a bit warrior, a bit warrior. If I spent that, if I was in charge of that, we wouldn't be having Sainsbury's meal deals for lunch after in the office. We'd have to, that next month, we'd have to kind of be easy if we spent that on Perez and that. But teams are not going to be bullied. Teams are not going to be held to ransom. Of course, it's frustrating. I've put 10 or so years ago, or I keep saying 10 years ago or so, even though that's not the best, but 10 or so years ago, Palace will bite your hand off for 45 to 50, 60 odd, however much for Zaha, let alone the 80 they want. Do you get it? Times have changed. Maguire could have probably been done for 30 to 50 million, and even that might have been called steep. Times have changed, and to be fair with you, of course it's frustrating, but I'm all for a level playing ground. These you got to remember this. Football is a business, and they need to sell players and make money and whatnot, but it's not. Player transfers has always been a losing business, and there's not really a dire need to it. TV rights have made us play catch up to a degree. These teams want to build established squads as they're doing, so why would they let key players go out, have to deal with it again? And also remember that money isn't what it once was. Again, if you've got a 45 or £100 million budget, you can find deals, people. You can find deals if your scouting team's on point. But for fairly established players, you're playing through the nose now. You're paying through the nose, and it's being shown. And some players are simply not worth that, to be fair with you. I think teams just looked at Van Dijk and said, listen, we know Van Dijk is a good player, and if Liverpool want him, they're going to have to pay that mad fee for him. But just on the principle of that, you've seen Van Dijk go for 70 or so million, Lukaku go to United, regardless of abilities, for the same. These teams, the other teams within the same stature to Everton, respectively, as what's the other team I said? Who did I just say? I just said Lukaku and someone. Lukaku and Southampton. If you're Leicester, if you're West Ham, if you're Palace, and you're seeing these teams that are similar stature to you, and that you're not expected to finish top 6, it's a top 10 thing, and you're seeing, wow, they got 70 or so plus add-ons for Lukaku. They got that for Van Dijk. Look at the profit they made. Cool, do you know what? We're not being held to ransom again anymore. If the teams want our players, they're going to have to give us similar fees to that. If not, let's keep them. In the same way, I'm sure obviously Van Dijk, like you saw, I wouldn't say he was disrespectful or anything, but he forced his move. He made it clear he wanted to go. But they would have been happy to keep him. He's a good player, and first and foremost, good players help you with football matches, and he would have been central to their plans. Liverpool paid a lot of money, they got their player, and they're laughing. That's where it is now. If you want Chilwell, that's 50, 60 million that you have to be prepared to invest. You want Maddison, been quoted 60. Again, if players force moves and stuff like that, different things can happen. But if you want these players, you've got to pay through the nose. It's that simple now. This is the dynamic of football. On that note, I'm going to keep it moving. People, Deluded, stay safe. I'm out.